The spring air in Charleston, South Carolina, was crisp and fresh. American flags fluttered proudly outside the town's civic center, where a special event to honor veterans was about to begin. Inside, the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. President Donald Trump was the guest of honor, attending in person to recognize the sacrifices of local heroes. Among the seated guests was Harold "Hal" Whitmore, an 82-year-old Navy veteran. His hands were worn by time, but his eyes held the weight of decades of service and sacrifice. In the pocket of his blazer, he carried a small, weathered box containing a Navy cross he had earned nearly 60 years ago. But Hal hadn't come just to be recognized. He had come with purpose. Sitting beside him was his 20-year-old granddaughter, Maya, a spirited political science student. She clutched his hand and whispered, "Grandpa, are you sure you want to do this?" Hal smiled gently and replied, "Some things are bigger than medals. Some things need to be passed on to the right hands." The crowd stood and applauded as President Trump entered, greeting veterans with handshakes and warm words. He appeared relaxed and sincere, stopping often to listen and connect. As the national anthem ended, Hal felt the familiar weight of the medal in his pocket. His decision was final. Today he would give it away, hoping the man receiving it would understand its meaning. The speeches began, honoring servicemen and women from every branch. When Trump took the podium, he spoke with heartfelt emotion. "Service isn't just about sacrifice," he said. "It's about heart, about believing in something bigger than yourself." Hal watched intently, his hands trembling, not from age, but from the significance of what he was about to do. After the speeches, Trump stepped down into the crowd, eager to personally meet the veterans. He waved off aides, determined to connect without barriers. Hal leaned toward Maya. "When he comes this way, I'll stand." She nodded nervously. As Trump neared their row, Hal slowly rose. "Mr. President," he called out, his voice steady. Trump turned, smiling. "Sir," he said warmly, reaching out. "Thank you for your service." Hal took his hand, then reached into his jacket, pulling out the small, worn box. "I want you to have this," he said, voice slightly shaking. The crowd nearby fell quiet, sensing the gravity of the moment. Trump accepted the box gently and opened it. Inside, the Navy cross glinted faintly. He stared at it in silence. Hal's voice, raspy but clear, cut through the stillness. "I received that in 1968 for something that cost me more than I can ever say." Trump looked up, his eyes uncharacteristically glassy. "Sir, I can't accept this," he said softly. "But," Hal shook his head, "you're the president, the commander-in-chief. You represent all of us, whether we agree with everything or not. I want you to have it, not for politics, for what it stands for." Maya held her grandfather's arm tightly, tears in her eyes. "This medal," Hal continued, "is no longer mine. It's a reminder to lead with honor, protect with courage, and love this country, even when it's hard." The room remained silent. many wiping tears from their faces. Trump slowly closed the box, holding it with reverence. "I don't deserve this," he said quietly, "but I promise to honor it." Then, to everyone's surprise, Trump took a step back and saluted Hal, not as a president, not as a politician, but as an American honoring another. The salute was solemn, deep with meaning. Hal, proud and resolute, returned the gesture, standing, taller than he had in years. The crowd stood, applauding, not cheering, but offering a slow, powerful round of claps that echoed like a heartbeat. Visibly moved, Trump beckoned Hal to join him on the small stage. Maya helped her grandfather walk, tears streaking her cheeks. At the podium, Trump addressed the audience. "I came here to honor veterans today, but I'm the one who's been honored." He opened the box once more and held the Navy Cross high. "This doesn't belong to me," he said. "It belongs to every American who has served and sacrificed." He placed the medal on the podium and turned to Hal. "You didn't give me a medal," he said. "You gave me a reminder of what true service looks like. I won't forget it." The applause swelled, and in the silence between the claps, a powerful understanding passed between them, an unspoken bond of sacrifice and shared values. As the ceremony continued, Trump invited Hal to remain on stage beside him. "Stay with me?" he said kindly. Hal leaned over to Maya. "Never shared a stage with a president before," he whispered with a grin. She smiled through her tears. While other veterans were recognized, Hal sat quietly, his boots tapping gently against the platform. He wasn't just another sailor now, he was a symbol. Veterans looked at him with admiration. Maya's heart swelled. The medal Hal had carried for decades had found a new meaning. Later, as the crowd began to disperse, Trump leaned in and said something only Hal could hear. Hal nodded firmly. Whatever it was, it left both men visibly steadied. People stopped Hal to shake his hand and thank him for his bravery. And Hal realized something unexpected. Giving something away didn't mean losing it. Sometimes it meant letting it grow. That night, the town buzzed with talk. News channels aired footage of Hal handing over the medal, calling it the moment that left the crowd speechless. Reporters camped outside Hal's modest home. Maya peeked through the blinds. "You're famous, Grandpa," she teased. Hal chuckled. "If I'd known it'd cause this much fuss, I might have stayed home." But deep down, he was glad. He didn't do it for attention. He did it because he believed this country still needed reminders of its soul. Later that evening, as Hal sat in his armchair, Maya brought over an old photo album. They flipped through black and white photos. Young Hal on a ship deck, laughing with friends, letters from home in hand. "I never thought I'd live to see a day like this," Hal said softly. "You didn't just live it," Maya replied. "You created it." Hal closed his eyes. Maybe it wasn't just the medal that changed hands today. Maybe it was hope, too. In the Oval Office, President Trump sat alone, the medal resting on his desk. Its gold shimmered in the lamplight. He turned it over in his hands, reading the words, "For extraordinary heroism in combat." The weight of it wasn't just in metal, It was spiritual. He thought about the long line of veterans before him, men and women who carried burdens few could understand. His speechwriters had prepared remarks for the next week, but they felt hollow now. He wanted to say something real. He picked up a pen and began writing, not a speech, but a letter. A letter to Harold Whitmore. As ink met paper, Trump's thoughts weren't on polls or politics, but on Hal, and the countless others like him. On the lesson he'd received, leadership wasn't about fame or control. It was about service. 2. Days later, a black SUV pulled up in front of Hal's house. A sharply dressed Secret Service agent stepped out, holding an envelope. Maya opened the door cautiously. "Delivery for Mr. Whitmore," the agent said. Hal appeared with his cane. When he saw the presidential seal, he raised a brow. The agent handed over the envelope with a respectful nod. "No reply necessary, sir," he said, then returned to the SUV. Hal sat on the porch in the afternoon sun. His hands trembled as he opened the letter. It was handwritten. No slogans, no fanfare, just gratitude and a promise. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten. Not under my watch." Donald J. Trump. Beside the letter was a certificate, an official proclamation declaring May 15th Harold Whitmore Day in South Carolina. Tears welled in Hal's eyes. He hadn't just given away a medal, he had sparked a legacy. News spread quickly. The mayor called an emergency meeting. Plans for a town parade began immediately. Maya could hardly believe it. Her quiet, humble grandfather was becoming a local legend. Hal only chuckled. "Didn't do it for a parade," he told Maya as she hung ribbons on the porch. "I know, Grandpa," she replied. "But sometimes people need a parade to remember what matters." He smiled deeply and picked up his old Navy hat. "Well," he said with a wink, "if I'm going to be in a parade, I'd better look the part." The big day arrived with clear skies and an excited town. Families lined the streets waving flags, children perched on shoulders. A local marching band played proud tunes. Hal led the parade in a vintage convertible, Maya by his side. His remaining medals gleamed on his chest, except one, the one he gave away, and its absence made the others shine brighter. At the town square, a giant screen played a surprise video. President Trump's voice filled the air. "Today, we honor a man who reminds us what courage, humility, and sacrifice truly look like." Hal bowed his head, overcome. Afterward, the mayor welcomed Hal to the stage. "By presidential order, we recognize Harold Whitmore not just for past service, but for inspiring us all today." Hal tried to protest. "I'm no hero," he murmured. The mayor just smiled and handed him a plaque. The crowd clapped and whistled. Then Maya handed him a framed photo, one of young Hal in uniform beside one of him and Trump at the medal ceremony. At the bottom were the words, "True service never ages." Hal held it close, tears in his eyes. In that moment he understood. Legacy wasn't about medals. It was about the lives we touch. And Hal had touched many, and he wasn't done yet.